one of the things that concerns me that we haven't really talked about is like the NFT-ishness that's around the space. I'm not against NFTs. I think they can be great. I've seen them used successfully for fundraising. I've used them for fundraising for the Freedom of the Press Foundation. And the generosity of the community is, astounding. At the same time, I see them creeping into gaming in a way that a lot of people are excited about. But as somebody who's been playing games for a very long time, I'm like, hang on, hold up a second. We used to go to the store, we used to buy a game, you own the game, you play the game, that's it, right? Then you got the subscription model of games where you got a massively multiplayer game or something like that. And you buy the game and then you pay a monthly fee or something like that. Now we have people that are trying to maybe they're not even trying to, but the ultimate result of what they're doing is they are injecting an artificial sense of scarcity into a post-scarcity domain. And I think that is actually an inherently antisocial urge here. If you think about the world that people are retreating from their games, right? Where they live in a cold, bare box, if they're lucky enough to even have a home, in some overly expensive city. They spend all their time working. They get home exhausted. They make their cheap meal, and then they turn on their device to escape from all that. And then in their digital world, where they're on a beautiful island, they build a beautiful home, right? And they want to change the color of the wall, and you got to pay $19.99 for the wall, or for a token that'll let you roll for the potential to maybe recolor your wall. There's something horrible and heinous and tragic in that, to me. Not everyone does that, and I'm not saying it has to do that, but I think the community should very much be trying to bend the arc of development away from injecting artificial, unnecessary scarcity entirely for the benefit of some investor class into these post-scarcity domains. Because one of the promises, one of the privileges of technology is that it frees us from material limits that only exist in a material space. To try to reimpose a material limit in an immaterial space, I think is a little bit unethical, but that's me personally.
Gavin, what say you to that?
I would actually ask a quick question. If suppose it were not for the benefit of the initial investors or whatever the stakeholders, but suppose that it were just done in some fashion that didn't actually inherently benefit any individual, just that scarcity was just part of the technology. Do you think that alters the equation a bit?
I think, of course, it does, but it's still on the same spectrum, right? So there is a question here of what is it that's being scarce, right? And what are we gating? Is it someone's effort, right? Did someone create an artwork? Did someone write a poem? Did someone craft something in a game that took them 30 hours? And it represents their 30 hours. That is a very different thing. That's tokenizing their effort. It's tokenizing human life, really, human expression in a certain way, and guarding and protecting that and allowing them to trade that. What they've done there is they've crystallized a property right of an act of creation and then permitted a kind of transferability. On the other hand, is it a random number generator that's just spitting out seed values, or it's a casino lever arm, right, where you're putting in tokens and you're hoping to get in rare or an ultra rare or super rare or whatever they call it. These are very different things, and that's what I'm recognizing.
So it's interesting, right? Yeah. Because the game is a product. So it's a product. It's a digital product. It's not entirely dissimilar to another digital product, which, for example, could be music. So suppose you had an NFT, and you with your NFT, you have to hold the NFT to be able to play this piece of music. Now, the artist that created that piece of music, I presume that since you've already sort of dipped your toes in the NFT thing, selling NFTs for raising funds, you would be okay with the artist who created a piece of music to sell NFTs of their music attached to the right to actually listen to this music. But isn't that the same thing as selling an artifact within a game if you are the game developer?
I think it's a very different thing. In fact, and we see this in traditional mobile games, and like there's a Japanese gacha model, is what it's called, where all of these loot box things, I think they're known of more generally, where you're not paying for a guaranteed product. You're not paying for a concert ticket. You're not paying for an album. You're paying for the chance, the potential. What they're trying to do is they're trying to sell you a chance at something without the promise of something. And I think that distance is where a lot of exploitation in all of these spaces happen, because humans are inherently bad at internalizing statistical chance. And I think the people who develop these systems are quite good at understanding these statistical models. I think if you want to sell a concert ticket, and that's, again, represented as a token, whether that is a ticket, whether that is an NFT, that's a different thing than the casino lever. Okay,
so just to clear things up then, let's disregard the concert. Like this, what I'm talking about is effectively like a CD NFT. So like basically a piece, like the music cannot be played outside of owning this NFT. So the artist has just linked the NFT to the music, right? So there isn't any physical element to this, like a concert performance. This is really just the ability to listen to the music. So I suppose the technology existed to allow the artist to restrict those who listen to their music to the owners of the NFT, which the artist would sell in order to fund, I don't know, maybe themselves further development for more music. Is that okay?
Again, all of these things, I think you're trying to create like binaries, where what I'm saying is all of these things exist on a spectrum of goodness, badness, right? And there's a sort of self-interest and there's altruism. In a world of entire self-interest, right? Everything is cutthroat and, winner takes all, but you rule over a world of bones and ashes. On the other side, absolute altruism, your children starve because you starve, because you gave all your food to them, and then you died because you starved to death, and then they could not produce food for themselves, and they died. There has to be reasonableness somewhere in this spectrum. You have to be careful not to fall too far on either side. In the sort of example as what you're describing, this is just another re-implementation of digital rights management, which generally does not get me excited. I'm not in love with it. But I can understand how these things could be applied usefully or pro-socially in certain instances. There are other people who would very strongly disagree with me. But all you're effectively talking about there, the token is a password, right? We're using the cryptographic properties of cryptocurrencies to basically provide an access right, whether that's a playing right, whether that's a streaming right, whatever. It's simply a technical measure. The implementation of it lies somewhere on that spectrum, as I said, but as you said before, maybe that's above my pay grade.
Help by spreading this message. Share with your friends, leave a like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Turn on notifications to stay updated.